Good evening and welcome once again to class. We appreciate you for joining all through today. Today is class day 10. I'll be delighted to take from class day 10 to class day 12 the whole of this week. And that will range from today till Thursday. So in this class, we are going to be looking into the other functions that we use in data analytics with spreadsheets too, like Microsoft Excel. Remember that so far we've been dealing on functions and formulas with data tools like spreadsheets. And we've also seen how they play a role in helping us achieve our aim in the analysis we are performing in that of spreadsheets. Now, spreadsheet, like we say, is always a go-to sheet for different activities that are pertaining to data. Last week, we were able to cover the text functions, the date and time function, and the logical function. You see how we can utilize the if, the ifs, the and the or while we are working on our data sets, and how they can help us to understand what happened in our analysis and how best we can deduce that. But today, we are going to be looking into the lookup functions. We call it lookup and reference, as the case may be. But if you call it only lookup, you are not wrong. So we're going to look up some values in our data sets. We're going to return some values in our data set. And we're going to use a particular unique ID to reference all of this. A particular unique ID to reference all of this. So in this situation now, we are going to be using the ship mode as our particular unique ID, which will help us to achieve what we want to achieve at the end of the day. So let me just copy the ship mode. And I'm going to copy just a couple of them, not all, just a couple of them. First class, second class, and first class, second class, standard class, and same-day. So these are the most available shipping mode that we have in the data sets. So first class, second class, standard class, and same-day. Yeah. So we are going to be looking up possibly. We're going to look up the delivery dates. We're also going to look up the segment, the category, okay, delivery dates, the category, and the sales made in either of those days. So these are what we're going to be looking at too. This doesn't mean that it is limited to this, but this is because of class practice. We're only using this as our using just the 4 ship modes we have on this particular record, which is same day, standard class, second class, and first class. But to begin, what is even a lookup and reference function? Well, the lookup and reference function are functions that helps us to find or search for values in our data set in order to assist us in returning the needed values per se. A couple of moments ago today, and even over the times this month, I've been using more of this lookup and reference for my job. And what it does so is because the data I'm working with requires me to make use of a lot of lookup functions for me to pull data from another sheet or another column into the worksheet I'm dealing with. I've seen myself work intermittently with different sheets and even intermittently with different workbook and also with different table. So if I don't know how to use this lookup and reference functions, you will believe with me that it's going to be a predicament on my end as a data analyst. So we are going to see how they play a role and why we use them. Now, the VLOOKUP is one of the most popular lookup functions we have in Excel spreadsheets and also in Google spreadsheets. Now, what does the VLOOKUP do? The VLOOKUP looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table. It looks up the value in the leftmost column of a table. So it doesn't go other way around. Rather, it focuses on the leftmost column of a table. And what this means that if you're using VLOOKUP for the rightmost, it's going to give you a peculiar error. Not that the function you wrote down is incorrect, but because it has this particular usage. Then the index is a function that helps us to return a value of a cell in the intercept of a particular column or row. While the match function returns the relative position of an item in an array. Then the index plus match is when we combine the two functions together to give us a dynamic field that VLOOKUP cannot give us. Now, in some cases, like when you're using Excel spreadsheets package or maybe Microsoft Office 2021 and above, by using Microsoft Office 365, you will notice that most times VLOOKUP will not work in your functions. Hence, we resort to using index and match altogether, or we resort to using XLOOKUP. But if you are using Microsoft 2020 below, you are good to go with using VLOOKUP. I cannot say why it is so, but that's what I can tell you. That if you are using Microsoft Excel 2021 and above, which we ask you to please download and have it handy as you are working on data sets, you are practicing on your own, you are free from any hassle of using VLOOKUP, index match, or index and match when you're trying to find values or search an array of table. But if you don't have Excel or Microsoft Office 2021 and above or 365 to make use of VLOOKUP and index match is your go-to. All right, so let's remember that while you work on the data sets to see how these particular functions play a role in analysis by helping us to return some values that are needed for us to become more effective in the use of spreadsheets for data analysis. So let's hop into the customer orders. I'm leaving the value record for you because it's going to serve as your project, your practice section for use after the week has ended. All right. So this week, aside the lookup and reference function, I'm also going to look into the match and trick function. We're also going to look into the advanced Excel part 1, which will usher us into conditional formatting and data validation. Then using the split to column function in Excel, which afterwards we are going to look into the advanced Excel part 2, where we are going to be seeing ourselves working with summarizations and thereabout. So let's hop in now to the first of practice. Let's try to use the first of the lookup references we have. So I'm going to cut this out and put it here. I'm going to name here VLOOKUP. So notice the limitations that we might see while working with this particular function called VLOOKUP. Now I want to look up the delivery date for the ship mode first class. I want to also look up for the category and cells of such ship mode called first class. So notice how we can use either of these functions we have done today, we have mentioned, to achieve a row in what we are dealing with. So now, first class, we are going to enter our formula for delivery. Now we go to our formulas bar. I always mention that a lot. So always go to your formulas bar whenever you're dealing with functions and formulas. It will help you to become adequately compatible with working on other data analysis tools, because the formula bar is our go-to when we're trying to enter calculations in Excel. So equal to, our function is VLOOKUP. Then the first thing it asks you when you hit the tab key to select it is, what is your lookup value? Remember, it says look for the leftmost, right? Leftmost means in my screen now, the leftmost from my screen is the right, while the rightmost from my screen is the left. I'll show you what I mean. So we are looking up for the first class, which is this guy here, right? So we're going to reference it, right? Then comma, our table array. Table array, like we have mentioned, is the same with the range. Table array comprises of that particular range of data that contains what you are looking for. So our table array in this essence now, I'm going to choose from B1 to possibly column E, right? So this will be our table array. Looking on the leftmost part of the table, we have ship mode, delivery date, name, and the name, all in this particular column of choice. So that's our table array. That's the range that contains what we are looking for. Notice that it has the first class, which is the ship mode. It also has the delivery date we are looking for, and the name as the case may be. So the next good important practice of VLOOKUP is that while you are working on VLOOKUP, you need to understand what is called column index. Column index is the same thing as saying row number. In a lookup and reference function, we always use numbers to decode columns. Now, in Excel here, you're seeing columns named as A, B, C, D, and the rest of them. That's perfect, right? And rows are named as 1, 2, 3 to 1 million plus. That's also perfect. But when you're working with a reference and lookup function, we tend to make sure that we use numbers for the columns. So it means that column A will no longer be A. It will now be called 1. Column C will no longer be C. It will now be called 3. Column H will no longer be H. It will now become 8. That is what we call column index number. So in this regard now, since I have selected ship mode and down to the next name, that's the last name, I wouldn't be calling B as 2 again. On a normal situation, B is 2 when you're counting from A downwards. But here, because I chose from B as my first column of interest down to column E, B is now going to be number 1, C will now be number 2, D will now be number 3, E will now be number 4. That's because of the table array I chose, right? If I chose my table array to be from A to E, it will remain being 1, 2, 3. But because I chose my table array to start from B to E, hence my column index number will change from being 2 for B, it's now 1 for B, 2 for C, 3 for D, 4 for E. So let us remember what this is all about, because here is where a lot of persons make mistake in lookup and references. What is their column index? What is their table array? A lot of persons find it difficult to work with lookup and reference because of not understanding this basic terminology. The table array is the range of column values that contains what you are looking for. The column index number is the number 1, 2, 3, 4 and above that is assigned to the columns you referenced while you are choosing your table array. So the column we referenced is column B to column E. In that regard, column B is 1, column C is 2, column D is 3, column E is 4. So this helps assign column index number automatically. Hence, since we're looking for delivery date for the first class, we are going to click 2. because C is now number 2, while B is number 1. So I'm clicking 2 as my column index number. Then I will now be asked for the type of range I'm looking for, the lookup logic. Do I want it to look up approximate match or exact match? By default, this is optional. So whether you put it or not, Excel will give you exact match. Now, why do you say so? Because the last time you are working on if statements, that's the logical statement, you say that this square bracket means optional. This square bracket means it is optional, right? So you see then it means that this is optional for a spreadsheet. But if you're working on Power BI, the square bracket means you are referencing a particular column of choice. So let's not forget that. And what we're looking for is an exact match. So I'm going to click on exact match, which is for false, right? So false is the exact match I'm looking for. And then we close our parentheses. Now, what have we done so far? What it means is that you're asking Excel to go that you want to find first the delivery date of a first class. That's what we're telling Excel. We're looking for delivery date of a first class. And where can it find it is in the range of column B to column E. And the column index number is 2 for delivery date. And we're looking for exact. So let's see what it does for us. This is it returns the delivery date for us in the serial number of that date. And the delivery date is 42686, which when we go to our number control over here, we can change it from the general data type to a date. And we have this 12th November 2016. So let's format it the way it is on this particular data. So that is this guy here. We have this 12th November 2016. Now over here, we have reference column L, cell L30, cell B1, E15, and 2 as the name of the column of choice. But we need to make sure that our referencing does not have any problem, because at the end of the day, we are going to drag our lookup function down the column. And when we do that, you notice that it will change the references. So look at what I mean here. So let's drag down this to this column now. Now notice that we have a little bit of a change in things here. Now for second class, we have 29th September 2014, which is correct, as we are also seeing it here. 29th September 2014. Then standard class, we have 3rd December 2015, which is what we have here too. 3rd December 20. We are seeing 3rd December 2015, but standard class here, what are we seeing? 3rd December 2015. Fine, that's correct. Then same day, we are seeing 11th December 2015. Let's see, 11th December 2015. So you see, this is approximately correct, exact finding. Now, what does it mean? That the VLOOKUP has looked up all the entire range of cells we have chosen. That is from column B to E, all of them from the first row to the last of the row, vertically, that's column wise. And when it has looked it up column wise, it saw that yes, that it can actually find what you are looking for. Now, because of the fact that our referencing is not the same, it tends to look up individually. Now notice that when I go to the first cell we entered our formula, you notice we have L30, which is for the first class here, that's column L30, cell L30, and we have our usual reference. But notice that when I go to the next cell of second class, it changes from L30 to L31. Then the B1 we had before to E15 now changes to B2 to E16. And again, this changes to B3 to E17, while again, this changes to B4 to E18. So this particular referencing returns an exact match, which is what we're looking for. But then it did not return the exact formula that we used before. So to avoid such thing from happening, what do? We use referencing. Initially, we mentioned that referencing is what we use to relate a particular cell with the formula we are entering in our formula bar. And we mentioned again that in referencing, we have a mixed referencing, a relative referencing, and an approximate referencing, absolute referencing. So mixed, absolute, and relative. So far in our functional formula, we have been doing relative, in the sense that we are not adding any special character in between our syntax. No special character is coming up here. So it's all relative functions so far. Formulas so far. But in this regard now, for using lookup and referencing functions, and even math and quick functions, we tend to understand that we need to use either mixed referencing or absolute referencing. So look at what I mean. The $sign will help us to achieve that. Now, what this means is that if you want someone to come to the East and buy a particular product for you, you are going to seclude that particular product out of many other products. So you came to buy a phone in the East, and there are a lot of phones, but that phone is what you are looking for. You go straight to buying that phone without looking for any other device in your way. That is what happens in referencing. So we want to make sure that our lookup table array, or the range of cells we are concerned about, remains the same way it is. But then let Excel find what you are looking for, irrespective of the fact that we are strict with the region of where you want to get that particular detail from. So in this regard, I'm going to click F4. Sometimes you might want to highlight and then click F4 to make it very absolute, or you might just want to click on either of the cells of choice in this particular formula bar here, then click F4, and it does the magic for you, right? I call it magic, I don't know why. So you see, hitting F4 have added the $signs for us, which will have $B, $1, $E, $15. Very, very interesting, right? Now, what does the $sign do? The $sign helps us to lock up the column of choice. And the column of choice here is our table array, which is from column B to column E. So the $sign we have added in this particular formula helps us to make it absolute. Nothing can change it. Just that same way that nothing can change you getting that phone in the East. That is what happens here. Then for cell L30, we are going to only lock up column L. Now, L is a number, and as a number, it stands for columns. Like you say, A, B, C, D are all columns, right? So when we lock up L alone using the $sign, we are locking, or we are making sure that column L remains constant, which is what we have here. And that column L contains the entire ship mode we are looking for. Then having to leave out cell 30 or row 30 means that we want to achieve a mixed referencing. So here's the thing. For you to achieve a mixed referencing is that you lock up the column or you lock up the row. If you want to achieve a absolute referencing, you have to lock up both the column and the row. But if you want to achieve a relative referencing, you are locking up nothing. All right. So $L30 shows a mixed referencing where we lock up only the column L, that is column L, and then allow the row to move freely no matter where it wants to go to. Then for the table array here, we use the $sign in every of the column and row inserted in this particular formula, showing that we want to lock up absolutely everything that is here. This helps you to have a perfect formula in your cells while you try to copy and paste in other cells. So when I hit enter now, it still returns the same value, but then when I drag down the column, notice that it is still the same result you are seeing here, but what changes now is that it is only the row 30 is what changed for the first time to giving us L32, L31, sorry. Then when you drag down again, it give us L32. When you drag down again, it give us L33. So we had every particular formula values in place, the same as supposed to be. But then we notice that there is changes in the cells that contains our lookup values. And this is how you look up either with misreferencing or after referencing or relative referencing. So far, we have been doing relative a lot. And you notice that here in our cells of choice, we are having relative references. CH2 without no dollar sign, D2 without no dollar sign, if statements without no dollar sign, date and time without no dollar sign, etc., etc. So there's no dollar sign in either of these courses, these formulas we've written here. But in VLOOKUP, we are using what? Dollar sign. Same thing goes with the XLOOKUP, the index, and the match. This shows that it's important for us to understand the essence of having these functions in our disposal. Because when we don't, we end up looking like we are confused with what we are doing, because data is very numerous, and most times if you don't know your way around functions and formulas in Excel, you find it difficult to work with your spreadsheets. So we've achieved the delivery dates for each of these shipping modes. Let us see the category that VLOOKUP returns to us. Remember that this particular function looks up the values from the leftmost part of the table, and I skip the part that it always focuses on the vertical places. Like I chip it in when I was discussing with us. I said that VLOOKUP always look up vertically, column-wise, in everything we are dealing with in a spreadsheet. So for the category now, I'm going to enter my formula bar again, then equal to VLOOKUP. Let us see if you can see anything else that we can get from VLOOKUP. So our cell of choice is cell L30. So I'm going to look up just letter L, that is column L. I'm going to leave 30 open, comma. Now, table array, we are looking for category, all right? So I'm going to still highlight from ship mode to category or cells. Let's say for cells. I'm going to look up the entirety of it. And then our column index number, we are looking for the category. Like we said, B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and what? 7. So H is now column 7 instead of 8. Then the next is we are looking for the exact match, so we choose false. Sorry about that. So we choose false, which is what you're looking for, and hit enter. So you see it turns the value you are looking for as what? Office supplies. So office supplies is the purchase that was made on first class. Now this does not mean that it is actually the only purchase that was made on first class. It means that this is the first value that Excel could look up for in the column when it was doing its searching. All right. So VLOOKUP or lookup and reference functions are like your default search engines that you can go to Google and say, what is this? They tell you what it is. You can use any language, large language models like ChatGPT or Gemini or DeepSeek or the rest of them, and they'll tell you what you want to hear, right? So when we now drag this down the column, just like we are used to doing, it returns the category of each of these purchases for every ship mode. And the purchase of ship mode in category that was made on 29 September 2014 was an office supply category. So let's confirm office supply, that's for second class. So you have here, okay, fine. See, it's office supplies. Then on 12th November 2016, let's see. Same office supply. Then for furniture, standard class, 3rd December 2015. Let's see. Okay, furniture, awesome. Then same day, 11 December 2015. Then we have this furniture. So you see how using the VLOOKUP function and help us to populate the results we are looking for in this particular regard of our analysis, showing us how important it is for us to, not only for analysis though, even our normal usual Excel activity as a spreadsheet person, you see us working with functions like this while you are trying to become perfect in how fast you are and how good you can be with functions and formulas in Excel. So the next is cells. But I'm not going to write a different syntax for cells because we already have a syntax that captured cells, the category. Notice that here, this particular table array ranges from B to I, and I is cells. So the usual thing I'm going to do here, since this particular table array contains what I'm looking for from ship mode to cells, what I will do is to copy it. I'm going to copy the syntax on the formula bar, copy it, and paste it in the next column. Now, what I'm going to do now is to change the value of the column index number to become 8, because B is 1, C is 2, D is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and what? 8. So looking for the cells made in such particular first class ship mode, and we have 8, then hit enter. So it gives us the cells made in that particular regard, 67.8. So when we drag down the column, we have the cells made in each of those particular variable segments, sorry, categories. So for office supply, let's confirm again for office supply second class, 24.3. So let's confirm again. Fine, 24.32, as you can see over here. Then the next is furniture, 3rd December 2015. So furniture, 3rd December 20, that's for set standard class. So let's come standard class. Fine. So you see 2678.9, and that's what we have just here. Same thing with this at 1424 for Sunday. So this is how you use VLOOKUP in analysis for you to get what you are looking for and for you to become very much acquainted with your resources, because as a data analyst, your resources are those information you are dealing with, and it will be so very annoying or maybe humiliating that you cannot use any of the lookup and reference function in populating information from a different sheet, a different table, different workbook to the workbook or the sheet you are working with as a data analyst. So please, do you have any question from what you've stated in the VLOOKUP? If you do, kindly let me know before we move on to other lookup and reference functions.
Good evening, sir. There's no question, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So let us utilize the index and match function. Let's utilize the index and match function. So I'm going to copy these two rows of choice. I'm going to copy them. And I'm going to, first of all, we are going to be looking at the index. So that should be the first. So let me check. Yes, the index. That should be the first. Then I'm going to be looking, command line here. I'm going to paste this to be for the match. So here is for the match. Why the next will be for the combination of the two of them and what you want to achieve. So index plus match. Fine. So we are still going to focus on the two most popular mode of ship delivery, which is the first class and second class. Let us see how index and match works, because we know that they are different, they all have different functions and what we use them for analysis. So we say that the index function returns the value of Excel in the intercept of particular row or column. while the match gives the relative position of an item in an array. So first, let's get the match of first class and second class under the delivery mode, ship mode, category, and the cells. So let's have that check. So first the match. So which match, where is the position of this first class in ship mode? That's the match, right? Where is the position of the first class in category and on cells? Let us find that. So go to formula bar again, equal to match. When we type in match, it tells us what is the lookup value. Now the value I'm looking up for obviously is our first class. So we select that cell by referencing it. So I'm going to hit my F4 in order to make sure that I do a mixed referencing between the column and the row, comma. Then the array we are looking for, what's our lookup array? So lookup array now is different from table array, right? It's different from table array. Table array in if you look up is the entire table or the particular entry to the table you are looking for. But lookup array is significantly on a particular column of choice. All right, that's what lookup array is. Now, lookup array focus on the column that contains that particular lookup value. So the column you are looking at is for the ship mode column. So we select the ship mode column. And then what is kind of match type we are looking for? We're looking for what? Exact match. So start from exact match, you also have other match type. We have the less than match type, the greater than match type. So I'm looking for the exact match type. So I'm typing in 0. So I'm choosing 0 as match type and click. So you see, the first class is in row number 2. And that is very much correct because we selected from B1 to B15, right? B1 to B15. So our lookup array is going to count the row 1, which is this particular row header, as 1, then count this man as 2. So let us also see what it will give us as the position of second class. So let's come down here. Now the position of second class is 2. So here should be positioned. That should make this position. So here should be position. So here should be position. Let me remove this from here. So the position of first class is in row 2, as you can see, is in row 2, which is here. The position of second class from our match function, is in row 7. So here is row 7. We see second class. So you see, index gives us the, what am I calling my index? The match function gave us the relative position of each of these particular ship mode. Now, what is now the index? We said the index is a function that returns the value of Excel at the intercept of a particular row or column. So let's see how that works. So for the first class, now we know that the first class is in what's it called again? Row 2. Second class is in row 7. So let's get the delivery date. Let's get delivery date position. So permit me to put the position of delivery date. So let me type in delivery dates here. Delivery dates. We want to get the position of delivery dates so we can see how that plays a role here. So I'm going to copy the function from the formula for this index match, paste it here. I'm going to be changing the lookup array. It's no longer going to be in column B, but it's now going to be in the column that contains delivery dates, which is column number C. This is here, right? And what I'm looking for, as the lookup value I'm looking for now, is no longer first class, but the delivery date. So I'm going to remove this and reference delivery dates as the column I'm looking for. So I'm going to make it an absolute referencing. Then this as well, absolute referencing. So I'm clicking F4 to make that happen. Then hit enter. So the delivery date is in the first column. But what if I change my lookup array and say, okay, let the lookup array be just from A1. So let me say it will be something like this. So let me remove this guy and say let delivery date be in this particular row. And now this means that I'm trying to make sure that it is a column that is giving me the number. So this is column 3, right? Column 3 is delivery dates. And as you see, A is column 1 is order date, column 2 is ship mode, column 3 is for delivery date. So it tells us that delivery date is in column 3, while first class is in column 2 is in row 2, right? Delivery date in column 3, first class in row 2. So we're going to use this instance now to work on with the match. When I call it match, the index. Sorry about making use of match when I'm supposed to use index. So now for delivery date, I'm going to look out for the delivery dates of first class, right? First class delivery. Let's see whether we can get the same value from lookup as well as index. So here we put in equal to index. So index asks you for an array. So array is just something that VLOOKUP asks you, what is your table array? So our array or range of column that contains what we are looking for is everything here in the table. That's our what array. Then the next thing it now asks you is what is your row number? So we say that the row number for first class is what? 2. So we are going to hit F4 first to make this a better absolute referencing, comma. Our number is what? 2, because that's for first class. Then column number is what? 3, that's for delivery date. When we close, hit enter. You see, it returns the date for us. So we change this to date format. Let's change this to date format, and we have this. These are date formats. Fine. So you see, it returns the delivery date as just the way it is for VLOOKUP. Why? Because we have specified the entire table array. Remember, you said that we call array. When we call array in VLOOKUP, we call array, we call it table array, which means the entire table or part of that table that gives us what we want. But in index, we use the entire table. We don't have a situation where we say or this. All right, we use the entire table in index. But in lookup, VLOOKUP, we can choose the entire table, or we choose a part of that entire table that gives us what we want. So that's the trick between the index and the VLOOKUP. And again, we chose the row number. And this number we saw here that we can get them from the match that we have already gotten here. Then we chose the column number, which is also what we got from the match function here. And when we hit enter, it returns us the exact dates for this particular first class mode, right? So if we are to still use the same function, but change the lookup position or delivery date, let us see what we get at the end of the day. So let's copy this and come over here and paste it. Then we are going to change the row number. Instead of being 2 now for first class, it will now be 7, that we can see for second class. Then the delivery date still remains 3, right? Still remains 3. So we have this as, let's come over here. So we hit enter. Do you notice that it gives us the same dates just as the VLOOKUP gave us, 29 September 2014, 29 September 2014. So this lookup and referencing function depends on, like you say, depends on what particular office you are using and which one is much preferable for you. For some of us, we are good at using any of them. For some of us, we are good at using just one of them, while for some, we are good at using just a couple of them. So the choice is left to you, the analyst, to make use of them as supposed to be. Now, what if a situation where you want to combine both the index and the max all together? So let me unfreeze this particular pane of choice. So let me unfreeze this so I can have something like this. So what if now you want to use these two functions together, the index and the match all together? we've seen that the match returns the position of the relative position of everything we want. So we've gotten the position of first class to be 2, index to be 3, delivery date to be 3, second class to be 7. You can still get for a category. So let's say a category now, I want to get the position of category now. I say, okay, let's do this. So let me copy, let me come to formula bar. So I'm looking up for match, right? The match. So the lookup value you're looking for is category, right? And we hit F4. Then the lookup array, which is where we are looking up, is going to be the entire row of row 1. Then we hit F4. Then our match type is exact, which is 0, and we hit enter. So it tells us is what? 8. So category is in column number 8. That's what you see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then the next is for sales. So obviously, you know that sales is in column number 9, but let's still use the match function to get that happening, right? So the sales is equal to the match, value is sales. Then we hit the F4, comma, the lookup array. The lookup array is obviously going to be the entire row 1, each for the column. Then we are looking for the exact match, right? We have this. So here the category and the cells, we copy, we paste. So we have this as supposed to be, right? So we can still now use the index function to get the category and the cells for all these first and second class. So let's try that. So for category now, we are going to use the index function. So equal to index. Our array is the entire table from column A to column L, right? Sorry, we are going to use L4 first. Fine, I'll log it in that first. Then our row number, we are now coming to use the category, which is our row number, sorry, for the first class is 2. For second class, the category 8. We close parenthesis and hit enter. See, it gives us the same office supplies as we also saw. The next is for the second class, equal to index. Our array is the entire table. That's the entire table is our array. Notice that I said when it comes to index, we always use the entire table whenever we are putting down our formula. But when it comes to VLOOKUP, we can choose to put entire table or part of the table. So the next is the row number is 7 for second class. The column number is 8 for category. We have this, right? Awesome. Isn't that so? The same values you are seeing here from VLOOKUP, you're also seeing here from index function. Then for cells, so quickly, we're still going to do the same thing. I'm just going to copy this formula, then go to cells, and I'm going to change from 8 to 9. I have this. So the same thing too, I'm going to copy this formula, go to cells, I'm going to change from 2 to 7 for second class. I have this. So you see how amazing using index function, match function can be for us in this particular regard. So let's try to see how we can merge the two functions together to achieve the same thing dynamically without us taking so much of our time doing it one after the other. All right. So here in the delivery date, I'm going to go back to formula bar, choosing equal to. Now the first thing that will go there is index. So that index is the first we are looking for. So index. So our array is obviously going to be the entire table. All right. The entire table is going to serve as our array. We hit F4. Then comma. Now I'm not going to add a row number here, another under the row number. That row number now is going to be the match function. And the match function, we now choose the match value we are looking for, which is the first class. Then hit our F4. I'm going to hit F4 again I'm going to hit like up to 3 times to choose just the column Q, so that when I scroll down the column, it will also take up the second class as well. Then I look up array for this particular ship date, which I look up array, and know that we did an index in March before. So I look up array is obviously the ship mode. That's our lookup array, because that's where our lookup value is located. All right. Lookup array is where our lookup value is located. So we hit our F4 again. Then our match type is always a exact match, and that serves as our row number. All right. Row number. Remember we did it here, row number, right? Then the next is a column number, which the next match function will be for us. So match, our lookup value is still the same first class. All right, so we are going to hit F4 like 3 times for us to select just the column of choice, comma. Then our lookup array now, sorry, it's going to be not F4, but supposed to be delivery dates. So, because that one we're looking for delivery dates here, yeah. So F4 into 3 times. We have this, right? So F4 3 times gives us a mixed referencing whereby the column is constant or lock, while the row is free to move from left to right. But in this regard now, we want to make the column flexible. So what I'm going to do is to put the $sign in the front of 37, right? Now, the reason is because, yeah, 37, yeah, sure, it's supposed to be 37. This is column R. 37, S7. Yes, definitely. Now, what this means is that, okay, let me finish the formula, then I'll let us know. Then lookup array is supposed to be in the row column header. Then exact match, right? Now, what I just do here, what I did here was to use the index and the match all together, right? So the first thing first is that, let me hit enter first, we have this. So first thing first is this. We utilize the index function first by helping us to choose the entire table array or entire array. So let me use array instead of table array. But in other cases, they are still the same, right? So the entire array of choice, which is from column A to column L, that's the entire array. That's why you see blue on them. Then the next is we want to get the row number. And this row number, now I want to use the match function for it, instead of using the normal 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 we normally use. So in this regard now, we use the match function and we enter the column value, the lookup value, which is this particular first class we are looking for. That's the referencing we did. And we did a mixed referencing here. We are locking up the column, which is Q, right? And we're leaving this row flexible so that when we drag down, it can look up the other cell beneath. Then our lookup array, which is a particular column that we are looking for or that contains what we are looking for, that's the lookup array. And we are looking for the ship mode, first class. Hence, our lookup array will be for what? The column B, which when it is coming there, it will search via row wise, just the way it did before. Then we need exact match. Then we come to the next one, which is for the column. They say this particular next match function now is for the column. Hence, the column function, the match function will now be for the column wise. So arrow 37 is as regarding the header we are using, which is delivery date, category, and sales, right? That's on column R and row 37. So we are locking up row 37, keeping it constant. So when we drag to the right, it will look up category and sales and give us the value, right? So that is the essence of the locking of the row instead of the column that you knew before. So before now, we lock up the column in the first match function we have here, the match formula we have here. The next match formula we have here, locking up the row, because here we are now focusing on the column. It will return to us as a value. Then the lookup array is obviously the column headers, and we are good. So when we hit enter, we have a value. So let's change this to a date format. And we have the date format right here. Exactly. So when you drag down the column, now it returns. Then when you drag to the right, it returns. So let's go this way. So it returns something here. Let's change this from being a date, because the date format over here. Let's make it to be a number or general, as the case may be. So we'll come down. We have this. So you see how dynamic the index match is in regarding to the VLOOKUP. Using just the index match together, we have gotten everything we need, just like that. Just like that. The VLOOKUP, you need to start inserting the column index number, and start looking out for the column index number and the rest of them, maybe the column lookup table array and all. But no, in index match, you don't do that way. And if I even copy this guy and paste here, for instance, and then still drag down the formula from here down, it will give me a result. Have you seen that? Give me a result. Simple. So we still have the same value we have here, also the same value we have here. So you see, these functions you are treating are always beneficial for us whenever we encounter challenges. When you encounter challenges in your spreadsheets, working with spreadsheets, find out that there are these formulas that will help you to work your way around them and get in touch with what you are looking for. So lastly, for the lookup and referencing is the XLOOKUP, which is equivalent to either of the ones you have done before. Now, why I'm not touching all these lookup functions is for us to have a whole of what we are dealing with, so that by tomorrow, when you're working with spreadsheets, you can know how to deal with all these particular situations that can come up for you at the end of the day. And you wouldn't be so much worn out while dealing with data. Sometimes you can be worn out while dealing with data. Take it from me as an experienced analyst. Okay. So we don't want to be worn out, although it can happen. Definitely can happen, because we are all human beings, and most times we tend to tire out in situations such as this. So in this regard now, let us see how we can actually use the XLOOKUP, which is the final of the lookup and referencing function we are going to be making use of. Now, XLOOKUP is very perfect in getting results from when you are using Microsoft Office 2021 or 365 and above. All right. Sometimes these functions we perform here might not work in your own if you're using lesser versions of Microsoft Office. So we want to make sure we are in the right frame of mind or position, or maybe we are using the right Office tool that will help us to achieve a particular goal such as this. So just like the VLOOKUP, you are going to also use the XLOOKUP. But the difference now is that the XLOOKUP is very much streamlined in giving us what we want as a result. It's not going to cause us so much of a headache the way index and match did. So equal to XLOOKUP. Now, the first thing first, as always, is your lookup value. So this is very meticulous. So our lookup value is a first class, and we have to give our F4. So this time we are locking up the column, right? Leaving the cell open, comma. Then what's our lookup array? Remember, it has come before in VLOOKUP. It has also come before in match lookup array. So whenever you're working with anything reference and lookup functions, we open to seeing lookup array, table array, or array. They are all the same thing. But difference is that you must specify where this one is looking for or where the other one is also looking for. So lookup array in this essence now is the column that contains what you have actually looked up or what you are looking for. And in this sense now, ship mode is in first column. So we choose ship mode, and that's our what lookup array, like we used to do in VLOOKUP and also in match function. So now it asks you your return array. You see, XLOOKUP is very straightforward. It asks you, Mr. Analyst, what are you looking for? You specify first class, which is in cell L39. Okay, where is it located? That's your lookup array. Oh, it's located in cell column B. You choose it. Okay, fine. So I have seen this lookup value. I have also seen the place located. Where then do you want me to get the details from and return the result for you? That is the return array. I'm looking for what delivery dates. So we go to delivery date and choose delivery dates by referencing all there is. And then it asks you optional questions. What if I didn't find it? What should I do? So here we use an open quotation to enter a text and say, if you didn't find it, enter none. Then it asks me again, okay, now I'm done seeing all this. How do I search? Should I search exact or anyhow, or should I search smaller, larger? But obviously, are we always going to choose what exact? So we have exact 0 for exact, -1 for exact match or next smaller item, 1 or which is exact match or next larger item, then 2 for wildcard character match. So we are choosing 0 for exact match. Then ask you again, how should I search? Is it from first to last or last to first? Should I do it as per ascending order or descending order? That is 1 -1, 2 or -2. So this is what you see and find yourself interacting with this particular formula called XLOOKUP. So here we are typing 1, but we want to start from the first to the last. So 1, and then we hit close parenthesis and click. So it returns the same value as the one we know before. So here I'm going to convert back to the dates we normally use, and we have this. Now when I drag down the column, it gives me the same result as the XLOOKUP, the VLOOKUP we have been using. Now, easy peasy, for me to continue with other functions, I'm going to quickly enter the next one, equal to XLOOKUP. So my lookup value again is the F first class. So I'm going to hit F4 like 3 times for me to lock up just the column. Then my lookup array is the ship mode, which is this column B. Then I'll lock it up. Next is the ask for return array. Then the return array is category, which is everything here in column H. So I lock it up with there. Then if not found, I'll say none. Remember, notice I'm using a open quotation and close quotation to enter a text string in my formula, right? So the match mode is exact. The search type is from 1 first to last, and hit enter, and I have this. So then we come in the column, and I have this result. So for the cells now, the same thing again. So quickly, XLOOKUP value is the first class. I put F4 into 3 times to lock up just the column. Then comma, my lookup array is in the column B, which is ship mode. So I lock it up. Next is the return array, which is for the cells. So lock it up again. Then the next is, if it's not found, what should I put? I say none. Then look for exact match. I'm looking for searching from the first to the last, and click this. So you see, it returns the same thing just as we have seen it for both the index plus match, the index, the match, and the VLOOKUP. So these functions are just there for your usage. All right, they are just there for usage, and it is left for you, the analyst, to know the one that is much preferable and that also suits with the version of Office you are working with. Like I said, when you're working with Office 2021 and above, like Microsoft 365, to use these functions will not be hard for you. See, I'm using Microsoft Office 365. You can check, like we saw the last time. You go to the account, you notice that it is 2021 365. Are you seeing it? 2021 365. So if you're using the kind of Office I'm using or above what I'm using, you can comfortably use these functions in your spreadsheet. But if you're using below this version, you can comfortably use the VLOOKUP, index, match, an index plus match. But to use this guy, XLOOKUP, it will be a bit difficult for you. All right. But these other three, these are four, a go-to for you. So this is where we are going to end for tonight's class and section. We've used this 1 hour to discuss the lookup and reference function we use in Microsoft Excel and for other spreadsheet data packages. When we call back tomorrow, which is class day 10, we're going to enter into the math and trig functions. In the formulas bar, we say I'm going to touch everything we have here aside financial, because we're not doing financial analysis, right? And we're doing basic data analysis for beginners. So here, math and trig function is the next function we're going to be looking into. We're going to be seeing ourselves use the functions such as the sum if, the sum ifs, the average if, the average ifs, and the count and the count if, which is a mix of math and trig and statistics besides the statistics we have done before. So this is where we call a short for the class today. Please, if you have any question, do so that we can tackle them one after the other.
I don't have any questions, sir.
Why is that whenever I finish the section, nobody is hard for some persons to ask question before that?
I do ask, sir, but today's one, no.
Okay, okay, okay. It's fine. No issues then. No issues then. I appreciate you joining the call, and please encourage others to always join the call so that the money they paid for their own course will not be, because I know how difficult it will be for them to look into this particular course after now. Sure you get to be hard for them to look into the course after now. I know what I'm saying. This is an experience with my students or the persons I've teach. But for those that normally come to class, it's an easy thing for them to flow by at the end of the day. So really appreciate you coming on, and also appreciate others who are also yet to come up for the classes. Do have a wonderful night, and see you tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.